And we're ready to go. So just a reminder, go to the member site for any new information that we want you to know. Also, if you want to do a coaching call, fill out the coaching call request form on the members first page of the member site. And remember, you have access to all our courses, and probably the most appropriate one. I mean, the Stop Fighting Cancer one, of course, when you guys know all that, you got that all in the member site here. But the chronic disease and autoimmune course is the most appropriate, I think, because it's got just so much new information on autoimmune disease there. It's literally really cutting edge. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there's if you watch some of the videos in there, you're going to know more than the majority of even functional medicine doctors out there. So it's really some good stuff in there. And then also, use our blog. We have about 900 or so blog posts. A lot of them with videos and stuff that you can find things if you're looking for something. Okay, let's jump to the questions. I've noticed itching and a rash, maybe even mild hives in the indent just below the top of both of my shoulders, spreading a little bit to top of shoulder, front side, as well as top and behind my right knee. It itches and I scratch until there are multiple little scabs, same scab pattern at all locations. This is new in the last few weeks. Wonder if it's the lymph system detoxing, maybe from the SCFT, now using a couple of months or some other aspect of the protocol. That's always a possibility. That you are detoxing. Certainly, the top of the shoulders, upper trapezius, even down into the upper rhomboid muscles can be referred, pain referred, rash from the gallbladder, bilaterally. Gallbladder refers to the shoulder area, so it's possible. I mean, I would consider doing castor oil packs over the liver, or just hot pads over the liver, just to, because you'll hit the gallbladder then too, just to make sure that that's not it. Doesn't really fit with the right knee though, so I don't know if that is the issue or not. Certainly. It's really easy when your body chemistry is constantly changing, and look at just switching up your deodorant or not deodorant, but detergent, because where your clothes rub, that could be an issue. If you're sweating at all with the change in weather and stuff, that could be an issue too. You can develop a little hypersensitivity for a short period of time to something that you haven't been hypersensitive to for a long time. Certainly supporting the detox pathways is the best way to go though. So I think you are on the right track there, but do investigate other possible sensitivities. It still fits to detoxification pathways still too, but investigate some of those other things as well. Can you explain why my recent CBC tests, my local, this person is in another country, so it's a different spelling. So this leukocytes was 2.57 and the average rate is 4 to 10.8. But my basophils, monophils, lymphocytes. So your leukocytes are your total white blood cell. So that's a combination of your lymphocytes, your neutrophils, your basophils, your monocytes. Those can all be within normal range. But you can have a total overall white blood cell count that's a little low. So what can you do to increase your total white blood cell count? You really your what increases your total white blood cell count is dealing with what can lower your total white blood cell count. So what can lower your total white blood cell count is chronic infection. So an acute infection, you'll have an elevated white blood cell count. A chronic infection, you can have a suppressed white blood cell count. You also can have a suppressed white blood cell count in leukemias, some of the different leukemias. That's not uncommon either. But if your basophils, your monocytes, your lymphocytes are within normal ranges, and I think your neutrophils are in normal range as well, then you think of just some chronic issues, maybe a chronic fungal infection, a chronic parasitic infection. So what you would do is try to deal with that and investigate a little further on dealing with that. I know this person is going to be back in the States sometime soon. It might behoove you to get some different testing to see what would be appropriate in this case. So we might want to set up a one-on-one with me. We can go over some possible testing that we might want to move forward with. Also, what are your thoughts about the effects of dark chocolate on calcium absorption? I have osteoporosis and osteopenia, according to the DEXA scan 2 years ago, and heard that chocolate interferes with calcium absorption. What contributions? Well, it really depends on what you're eating. I don't think that eating a little bit of dark chocolate on a daily basis is going to make a big deal with calcium absorption. Good dark chocolate has a lot of antioxidants in it and could actually be good for you, could satisfy a little bit of your sweet tooth if you're trying to stay away from sugar. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. And I know you just jumped on and I just answered your question, sorry, the first one. So you can listen to that afterwards. I gave you some hints on that. My mom's dog has a kidney and bladder infection. The Rife has programs for both of those. Would running these Rife programs for a dog potentially be helpful? Yes, it would. And that's what I've mentioned to many of you over the years. Another thing that has convinced me that the Rife is a valuable tool. You with anything, okay, is it the Rife that's working? If you did a course of therapy that included the Rife, and you had success with that course of therapy, you start asking objective questions like, was it the Rife that helped me? Was it the diet that helped me? Was it just my attitude change that helped me? Was there some sort of just emotional effect that gave me comfort? Is that what really helped me? And it's impossible to come to a perfect conclusion when asking a question like that. But when you look at using the Rife on children where there's going to have really no other effect, you might usually with like a dog or something, you're not doing anything else with them. You're not doing any other changes with them. And you see them get better from a serious disease like cancer. It's pretty cool. And over the years, I've had at least 15 patients say that the Rife cured their dog or cat of cancer, that they were told to put the animal down. They refused to do it. They started running a program, cancer program for the dog or cat. I've had actually 2 doctors come to me and buy a Rife for their, both of them bought it for their dog, and I programmed the Rife for their dog. So it's pretty cool when you see success like that on an animal. There was no other interference in it was the Rife that did it if the dog got better. So what are your thoughts about supplementing with NMN? So NMN is nicotinamide mononucleotide. It's a supplement that is a precursor for NAD. So NAD is a really hot supplement in the supplement business right now. What NAD does is it increases ATP by stimulating and increasing the metabolic pathways. It is Angie types in Leo, her dog, diagnosed 2 years ago, still going strong, using the right on her little puppy dog. So I am not a fan of using NAD with cancer. So it stimulates the metabolic pathway, it stimulates growth pathways. It could be really good for people that are working out and try to build muscle and try to have more stamina in their workouts. But with somebody with cancer, no, I'm not a fan of using any NAD stimulants for that reason. It's something that could increase growth factors and increase the rate of replication of cells, which could be really great if you don't have cancer, right? But if you have cancer, then it can have issues. You do have to, I mean, even if you don't have cancer, you have to be careful with some of these supplements. NAD, I've known people that have used NAD and, when one is good, then 3 must be better. Well, it can increase heart rate and can give a person a tachycardia. So you have to be careful with some of these things, even if you're in a state of really good health. But I would not use NAD for cancer, personally. How does taking vitamin C when you have Lyme disease, is that a no-no? What does it do? So if you have Lyme disease, is taking vitamin C a bad thing? Well, it depends. So if you have an acute case of Lyme, so I categorize Lyme disease. If you want in depth of what I'm going to share, you can go to the 3 phases of Lyme course right here. But I categorize Lyme disease in 3 phases. That's hence the name of the course and the name of the book that I wrote about Lyme disease. So phase 1 Lyme is acute Lyme. So you just got bit by a tick. You have Borrelia bacteria and or co-infections circulating in your bloodstream. Doing something to stimulate your immune system is the right thing to do. So in that case, you should take vitamin C. You should probably get it on an antibiotic right away. You have acute phase 1 Lyme. If you don't treat it and the bacteria and or co-infections then get inside of a cell. So they go through the cell membrane, they pass through a cell membrane and they get inside the cell. Now you have chronic, what has been known as chronic Lyme. I call that phase 2 Lyme. So it's inside the cell. Immune stimulants will help when it's outside the cell. Your immune stimulants and or antibiotics will not help if the bacteria and or viral or other bacterial co-infections go intracellular within the cell. Antibiotics don't go in the cell. Your immune system is not going to break through your cell membranes and attack the bacteria in the cytoplasm of the cell. You're in a pickle now when you're in chronic Lyme, and it becomes more difficult to treat. And this is where people go on long-term antibiotics, because every time it goes outside the cell to reproduce more, then you can kill it, but it just damages your gut, damages a lot of other things, but some people have been helped by that. People are on immune stimulants, heavy immune stimulants. Well, that can have negative effects too, because you can move into what's called phase 3, or what I call autoimmune Lyme. So anytime you now developed antibodies to self-tissue, wherever that Lyme was found to be intracellular, your immune system continues to try to kill it, starts to create antibodies against that tissue. And once you have antibodies against self-tissue, you're in an autoimmune state. If you're going to be using, immune stimulants like vitamin C, you can actually make yourself worse. So it is inherently a little bit more difficult to treat somebody with autoimmune disease, obviously, since I wrote an entire course about that. But it's even more difficult to treat somebody with an autoimmune disease when they have cancer. And I do think that cancer has an autoimmune component to it in a lot of people. So it's just a balancing act of try to get your immune system to kill the cancer while you're not stimulating your immune system to kill self tissue at the same time. That's why I'm not this humongous fan of intravenous vitamin C, even for cancer patients. And I haven't recommended it for a lot of you, and a lot of you are doing it because you just feel led to do it, which is great. But you have to really weigh whether it's helping you or not. It can be. I'm not saying it's not, but if you have an autoimmune component going on as well, then it can be a source of increased inflammation, systemic inflammation, and tissue destruction to the tissue that you have antibodies against. Well, it's all very complicated. Well, that's why I wrote an entire course about it. So, and that's why I started off this conversation by saying, if you're going to look at some of these courses, you guys all know all the stuff about stop-fighting cancer. Now start digging into the autoimmune component. And that might be an answer if some people are stuck. In one of the cancer docuseries, Dr. Ellen Tart Jensen gave this recipe for a liver cleansing blended smoothie. I'm not going to read it all. I've been making this drink for myself for a couple times a week for several months now. In the last week, I am all of a sudden nauseous after I drink it. Any thoughts on why this could happen when I did it? It didn't bother me for so long. Yeah, I don't see anything in there that's, would spark a red flag or anything. Usually when you think of nauseousness, after you eat something, you think of gallbladder. So the only thing I would say is maybe I would ask the question, do you get nauseous after you eat a fatty meal? Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought of that. Well, kind of keep an eye on that. You do have a tablespoon of olive oil in here. And if, that will stimulate gallbladder contraction. And if you have any blockage from the duct or any sluggishness of gallbladder issues, that could be an issue. What do you do for that? Well, you could do coffee enemas. You could do hot packs over the liver gallbladder area. You could go to the 7 phases of detoxification course and look at phase 4, which is gallbladder function and flow, and see some hints about that with that too. But that'd be my first thought if you're feeling nauseous after drinking. Okay. Can daily coffee enemas cause colon issues or bowel issues over time when done properly? Well, anything could cause anything, I guess. I wouldn't say that, oh no, it'll never cause any issues. I mean, you could have some irritation, even if you do it correctly. We've had people that have been doing coffee enemas for years on a daily basis and not have any issues. If you feel irritation or something, you could switch from coffee to something else for a period of time, like a tea enema, like something like that, or you could back off on it for a period of time. But yeah, I don't. We have some people that have been doing it daily for a long time, so I don't. If you feel like you're having some issues, then possibly. Is high quality organic collagen from grass-fed beef broth okay to supplement? Well, as a general question, the answer would be really, it depends on what type of cancer they have. So if a person has any colorectal, colon cancer, I'd say no. Probably too much glutamine in it for that. If the person is in a state of, pretty much remission of their cancer, and they're just feeling, hey, my skin and the hair and nails couldn't improve. I'm really unhappy with, maybe they went through chemo, damage of chemo, then I'd say, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that once in a while. So it's just a matter of what having balance. If you have active cancer, colorectal type cancer, I would say no, don't use that. Would turmeric increase my tumor bleeding? Well, the most common thing that would increase bleeding would be garlic supplementation, because garlic is going to reduce platelets a little bit. Turmeric, does turmeric have any anti-clotting factors? I don't think so. You could Google that, but I don't think so. I don't think turmeric's going to increase tumor bleeding. We have some people that put a turmeric paste on their open wound. So you've never heard of anybody having increased bleeding with that. So I don't think so. Would there be a former breast surgeon oncologist turned integrative? Who would be best for me to quiz about conventional stuff like surgery? For example, I sat on a webinar by Jen Simmons, and she does do consults. So Jen Simmons would be one I would recommend. The only issue is that the last time I talked to Jen Simmons, I said, hey, I really like her. And I said, hey, can I refer some breast cancer patients to you? You could do consults with them. And I think she's limited to be able to do consults in Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey or something like that. So you could certainly call her office and ask. And but I think, because she is a licensed medical doctor still, she has to go by that law. So, but you can certainly ask her. I also, on the homepage of the member site, there is a breast surgeon, it's a female breast surgeon from California, who another patient really liked and had a consultation with and really, really liked that person. So I actually put that that doctor's information up on the homepage of the member site. So that'd be another person to look at. So either one of those, I would say. Someone recently recommended collagen muscle builder since I protect my bad hip from muscle deterioration. Since it helps build muscle, will it help cancer grow too? Yeah, you have to be careful with collagen because collagen can stimulate growth. So it would be more important to be careful with collagen if I had a colorectal type cancer. So an adenocarcinoma, I would stay away from collagen. And breast cancer, could you have a little collagen? Yeah. Would I take it daily? Probably not, but I would not take it for you. I would not do collagen. Just wanted you to know that I'm planning on sending in my blood work, testimony, and new cheek swab this coming Monday. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you again for all you do. And know that you are amazing, have an amazing staff that are in my prayers. Thank you so much. Is there a place in any of your courses where you explain about hormones, hormone blockers, and why DIM works, pros and cons, etc.? I have multiple blog posts about that. If you just search that little thing, that little eyeglass thing, and search aromatase, to start with that word, you'll come up with several. I think I have a couple of videos on aromatase inhibitors too. I don't think I go into the metabolic details of DIM and how it works. But there really aren't any cons to taking DIM. They're all pros. I mean, everybody could take DIM. Quite honestly, I know it's not like everybody wants to take more supplements. I don't take DIM. I probably should, because why would everybody want to take DIM? Because everybody's exposed to exogenous estrogens. I mean, it's like we're just bleeding with estrogens. I mean, I swear the powers that be want to estrogenify the entire world, take away, you know, any male testosterone. But that's another story. So, but yeah, DIM really doesn't have any negatives. I guess the only negative would be it's certainly not going to work as the same with as far as shutting down all, you know, estrogen like an aromatase inhibitor would do, but that's why people like it, because it's not going to give you all the negatives of shutting down all your estrogens. So I use silver nitrate applicators when my breast tumor bleeds a lot. When I put coconut oil on the wound before I bandage it. Do you have any other suggestions? No, I think silver nitrate, even hydrogen peroxide topically can be a great thing to just make sure that you don't get any secondary infections. So whenever you have an open wound, you just don't want secondary infections. So silver nitrate can be a good thing. Hydrogen peroxide can be a good thing. Just you could actually put some just 3% hydrogen peroxide in a little spray bottle, so you can just spray it on there. That can be a good thing too. Are there healthy recipes on your site? Yeah, on the blog post, actually, Grace has done a ton of videos, and on our Instagram page, the videos are on there, and I think she put them all on the blog post too. Videos on healthy treats and just really nice shorts that are really easy to make healthy treats. And we don't have like she really has like recipes for like chicken or meat or whole meal recipes. I think there's a couple, but a lot are just like some simple things for some nice things to have once in a while. Any other questions? Brain wanted me to repeat the comment from Kelly that said you have an amazing staff. Yes, I do have an amazing staff. And I'm very, very thankful. God has blessed our clinic in many, many ways. And the biggest ways are the people that work here. Everybody really cares about you guys. So, update on AJ. Hey, I did talk to Ann about moves. Where we going on 3 weeks ago? And AJ. So for those that don't know, Ann used to work here. We still consider her a part of the team, but she is on kind of a permanent leave right now. Her son, 19-year-old, came down with acute myeloid leukemia. Super sick, almost died. Did go through chemo. Very acute attack, and he's doing really well right now. 3 weeks ago, I think he had just taken a trip with a cousin down to Arizona. I think they were going golfing, so that was really good news. So, but that was 3 weeks ago. I haven't talked to her since then. Thank you for asking, and thank you for praying for him. So. Safe to use a vacuum sealer on food. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, so quite honestly, if you're on Instagram or Facebook and you're in any health groups, I mean, let's be honest, you hear bad things about everything. It just gets to the point where it's like you can't live anymore because there's bad things in everything. You have to have a balance. You just have to, or you're going to go crazy. So yes, would it be better if you just put everything in glass and did that? Yeah, but Are you storing the plastics in a heated space? Yes, I'm storing the plastics in a hot, garage. Well, then it's probably not best to put foods in plastics. Are you putting it in a cold area, a cool area? Yes. Well, you're not going to have a lot of leach of bad chemicals from the plastics. Where you have a lot of leach of bad chemicals from plastics is with heat. So like the plastic top on your coffee cup, not good. So leaving your water bottle, your plastic water bottles that you got from Costco in the car in the summer, not good. But it's just a matter of trying to find whatever balance is best for you. Do I eat sugar? Yes, I do, because I like it. Should I? No. But you have to find the balance that's best for you, and um and not beat yourself up. Said over and over again, this is, your diet and your lifestyle cannot become a religion. That it's idolatry, and that's not healthy. That's really not healthy. So you have to find that balance of what's good, what's right, use, common sense, use knowledge and science that we know of today. Um, we're really big into our gardening and stuff. My wife and I, we make this chimichurri sauce that's great over chicken and vegetables and all sorts of, you can just put it on anything. Crock pot meals, it's so good. But we put it in Ziploc bags and freeze it. Would it be better if you canned it? Yeah, but then you have to pressure can it, and it just takes so much time. So when you're canning and doing so many things during, harvest season is insane at our house. And you just have to balance things out. I don't think we're getting a lot of estrogen disruptors from our Ziploc bags that we're putting in the freezer. I don't know, maybe science is going to say that's the worst thing and we'll change our ways. But right now, I don't think it is. And we're going to go with it. So it's just about having that balance. We used to use the vacuum sealer on those, but it was hard because it was too liquidy. But we use the vacuum sealer on other things. So it gives a little bit longer shelf life. So yeah. You guys are letting me off early today. Goodness sakes, I don't think we've got off in less than an hour in the last year. Any other questions? All right, so hopefully you guys are getting out and gardening whatever part of the world that you're in. Um, it's just greening up here in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I hope it's greening up there, and you can get out and get some gardening done. It's so good for you. Get yourself dirty, some probiotics in the soil and good bacteria. That's so good for your immune system. Selenium and breast cancer. Yes, selenium is good for breast cancer, so that's good for all cancers, honestly. Last couple of mornings, I've woken up with anxiety, which is odd for me. Is there any nutrient or something I may be missing? With anxiety, you think of uh, glutamates. This is your first thing you think of. At least that's the first thing I think of. So glutamates are an excitatory neurotransmitter. So what do excitatory neurotransmitter glutamate do to your brain? They cause anxiety. They cause OCD issues. They wake you up in the morning. So you need glutamates. They're not bad, but just excess amounts will wake you up and make you anxious. So where would you get glutamates? Well, you get glutamates from food. So if you ate, like, you went out to eat, got Chinese food, guarantee you it has glutamates in it. Anything prepared foods probably has glutamates, because glutamates stimulate your brain. So they put glutamates in food so that you go, wow, this is really good. This tastes fantastic. And doesn't really taste fantastic. It's just making your brain think it tastes fantastic, stimulating your brain through glutamate pathway. Second thing is you could have from a nutrient standpoint, you think of adaptogens. So adaptogens are adaptogenic herbs that can help just calm your body and calm the anxiety. And you got to look from a spiritual standpoint. Are there spiritual forces that you're attacking you, and you got to pray against those as well. So think of those three categories. Glutamates come from food, prepared foods. I'm not eating any of that. Glutamates also come from glutamine. So if you ate a lot of meat, animal protein will break down to glutamates eventually, especially if you have GAD gene defects. No, didn't eat any protein. So well, I just ate vegetables yesterday. I didn't even eat any protein. And I woke up with this. I didn't eat any prepared meals. But make sure you don't have spices that have glutamates. Monosodium glutamate is the most common thing you'll see. Nope, didn't have any of that. Then you think of adaptogens, possibly, and the spiritual connection. Thoughts on photodynamic therapy? Depends on what you're describing as photodynamic therapy. Photodynamic therapy is described by the Mexico Cancer Clinics as the use of laser lights internally and with a medication. We've had a few people do it, very mixed results. I don't know really giant hurrahs on photodynamic therapy. There is photodynamic therapy loosely. There's clinics that are loosely using that term when they're using a light therapy. So you red light therapy, it's photodynamic therapy. Well, I guess technically it is, but that's not really how Mexico Cancer Clinics are describing it. It's totally different. The use of laser, is that photodynamic therapy? Well, technically, but that's not really how they're doing it in the Mexico Cancer Clinics. You can't legally do photodynamic therapy. Why the way they do it in the Mexico Cancer Clinics? I don't believe you can do it in the US. Worth testing levels. Levels of what? Glutamates? Is it worth testing neurotransmitters? In my opinion, no. Selenium, yeah, you can test selenium. Problem is your minerals go up and down so often through the day. It's just, I don't think it's accurate. So I don't know that it's really worth testing selenium. For the amount that you're going to pay for the test, I mean, a bottle of selenium is pretty inexpensive. I just don't think it's, personally, I would just take selenium. If, if you feel that to do that. So cost wise, it's be cheaper just to do that. There's really no foul in taking too much. I mean, within balance, you're taking too much selenium. So anything to help my hot flashes due to the hormone blockers. When taking DIM, you recommend an extra ashwagandha, tablespoon in bulk. They're not too bad, but at night are bothersome. And sweating makes me wake up cold, and when it goes away. The thing is, again, we've talked about this before, but if you're going to take something that's going to help with hot flashes, you're kind of diminishing the role of the purpose of the hormone blockers. So the hormone blockers are to eliminate estrogens or reduce estrogens, and hence you get hot flashes. If you take, something that's going to stimulate estrogens, like soy flavones, then you're stimulating estrogen. You're kind of fighting what you're trying to do. So that doesn't make any sense to do that. That is the outcome of reducing estrogen. And you could take some adaptogens, like ashwagandha is an adaptogen. So, but I mean, there's nothing, you really have to suffer through it, because anything that would help with those are going against what you're trying to do. SEACT, the concentrated liquid form has alcohol in it. This is probably the worst thing about it. Maybe evaporate. So it is the herbs are in an alcohol base, and most of the liquid herbs that you'll ever get are in an alcohol base. That's what a tincture is almost always an alcohol base of an herb. If you did a water base, it would just go bad too fast. So it's just no getting around it really. And the benefit of an alcohol tincture, it does pull the nutrients out of the herb, so it makes it more accessible to you. So there's huge benefits to an alcohol-based tincture. Now I know it's difficult. Some people that have alcoholic backgrounds, and the alcohol can stimulate, that craving again. So we have to kind of balance that out. If a cancer is triggered by a virus, isn't the virus still probably active? If the keyword is if. So not all cancers are still triggered by a virus, even though some people write that in books and blogs and stuff. So remember that. But if it is triggered by a virus, does it mean the virus is still active? No, it doesn't. So if a cancer was initially triggered by a biotoxin of any kind, so remember, anything that gets inside of a cell, whether it's a chemical toxicity, whether it's a biotoxin like H. pylori or some other bacteria or virus, if it damages the nucleus of the cell, that nucleus is damaged and it goes into rapid replication. It's rapidly replicating another damaged cell that's rapidly replicating. So it's not the virus isn't necessarily even in the body anymore. So it can be, person can still have, let's say a person with stomach cancer and they have H. pylori as the cause, which is the #1 cause of stomach cancer worldwide. Do they still have H. pylori? Most likely, because of how H. pylori is. It's most likely that they still have the active H. pylori. And it's ironic that 99% of people with stomach cancer, the oncologist never treats the H. pylori. However, it doesn't always mean, with other cancers that may have started from a biotoxin, doesn't always mean the biotoxin is present. That's what's called an active antigen. So if the person still has an active virus or active biotoxin, it's called an active antigen. How you measure that is partly through a CBC, a complete blood count, which is so remember, like this question we had back here, person has white blood cell count, total leukocytes, or total white blood cell count. Normal is 4 to 10. Really, it should be about 5 to 8. Different labs give different normal ranges. But if you have a total white blood cell count over 8, you really do have some sort of active infection. It might be a low-grade infection, but you have some active infection. Then you look at the split of those white blood cells, the basophils, monocytes, lymphocytes, and neutrophils. If the person has elevated lymphocytes, then most likely they have a viral infection. If they have elevated neutrophils, then most likely they have a bacterial infection. So that's how you look at a CBC. But it's if the person like this person and this one, they don't have elevated white blood cells, they have suppressed white blood cells. Now that can be from a chronic like parasitic infection or fungal infection, not really viral or bacterial. So you can do a CD8, CD4 ratio too. That's a different, a little deeper test for that. And you can see if a person has an active infection with that too. What about squamous cell from HPV? How do you know if it's still not a problem after chemo and radiation? Well, you can do testing for HPV. You can look at just what I just said with the CBC and see if there's an active antigen. You could do a CD4, CD8 ratio that could tell you if you have an active antigen. But again, squamous cell from HPV, which is a very common source and cause for squamous cell carcinoma, especially of the head and neck. It can have been from a long time ago, and if you don't have any active HPV. Now, if somebody knows that they have squamous cell cancer, even if they were told that the oncologist doesn't think it's HPV related, I always put HPV frequencies in their RIFE program every time. So might as well hit it with the RIFE as well. Now remember, chemo or radiation is not going to kill a virus. It's going to kill the cancer, but it's not going to kill the virus or a bacteria. Matter of fact, it's kind of the other way around. If you chemo when you have a virus or bacteria, it's probably going to increase the likelihood that that could grow. I'm planning to have a throat biopsy on a tumor. This would be a section and not a needle. Are there things I should be aware of, cautious of, insist on, etc.? No, we discussed this at your case review that they're going to take that little clip off of that spot. I would just be really careful, make sure you're not taking, I didn't put you on any garlic, but make sure you're not taking garlic because that's a blood thinner. You don't want to just have that become a bleed and just have not heal. You want good platelet activity there. So they will probably tell you that too. They don't want you on, they might say they don't want you on any supplements, but it's really, I mean, garlic is your number one blood thinner. Omega-3 is a little bit, but garlic is really your big blood thinner. So that's really the one I would stay off of. Any other questions? How often can I do the foot bath, the Ion Pro Wave? Well, we recommend really once a day maximum, I think. I would say, I mean, we've had people do more than once a day in acute situations. But you know, some of the programs are an hour long, so it can take up part of your day. You certainly can be doing a hot pack over your liver at the same time. You can do some other things with it. But you can't be running the RIFE with it because you're using the RIFE for the Ion Pro Wave. So, but you can do two things at once. If you have a PEMF or something like that, you can use that as well. All right, I think we'll call it a night. Thanks for being on, everybody. Keep up the good fight. Know that we're praying for you, and cherish your prayers for us as well. All right, I love you all. speaking for everybody in our team. And we'll talk to you next week.